Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we somehow managed able to whip back into basement 1 floor to not only trying to able to capture the next golden goop ghost, to able to actually claim some more gold, and on top of that, we also did manage able to find the final gem on that particular floor. And speaking of floors in general, is that we did somehow manage able to went into the 8th floor, and that's going to be taking place in the forms of Paranormal Productions. So it's almost like a film studio floor, which is pretty cool, I must say. And in addition to that, we also did indeed manage able to claim every single gems in that particular floor. So no matter what though is about the fact, I'm pretty sure at this point that we're essentially now onto the halfway point in terms of collecting every single gems throughout the majority of the game. So because of that, and if we think to ourselves, yes, we did somehow also capture Morty, because it's all thanks to the achievement system as far as I'm aware, and we would think we're about able to continue onwards onto floor 9. Well, it turns out for the fact that there's this particular ghost cat, which appears to be known as Portrait Kitty, so as a result though, she did manage to able to steal one of those elevator buttons, specifically number 9, so we can't able to actually entering into the next floor, assuming we need able to head back onto the forms of, well, as a matter of fact, we've already did manage able to taking care of her for the most part in floor 8, but we realized about the fact that she's now going to be going into floor 7. So this means we have to go back into Garden Suites to able to actually hopefully try to get that particular elevator button until we're able to actually progress. So yeah, that's how it usually goes. So today, for this video, is that we are about to be heading back into floor 7, and as a matter of fact, not only we can able to try to find Portrait Kitty, but in addition to that, hopefully though, we can able to actually try to find the final few gems. Although, as you can definitely tell, that we've already did manage to able to grab one of those gems at the very beginning of this particular floor, by trying to able to actually reveal something thanks to the Dark Light device. So yeah, pretty easy to miss if you have a first time playing for this particular floor, but luckily I did manage to able to solve it by myself. So because of that though, yeah, that's nothing right to hum about. I mean, relatively speaking though, it's about the fact that we need to go all the way up again for potentially not only trying to find Portrait Kitty, but in addition to that though, I've noticed there's actually a blue gem right at the very top of this particular floor. So no matter what though, it's about the fact that we're trying to figure something this out once we're able to actually taking care of the forms of some more mini variations of these goop ghosts. So yeah, I think that's as far as I can try able to explain about this for the most part. So anyways though, oh yeah, a few things I want to talk about this is though, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that, well, today's date of course there is the 10th of October today, in some cases in 2025 today. So, if you are the bronies out there, well, suffice to say, I would like to point things out, happy 15th anniversary of the show's release of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. So yeah, I just want to classify that. Alongside with that, there's also the 15th anniversary of the channel's existence of Hop Network, back in Journey Forms in the USA, back in 2010. So yeah, I can't believe about the fact that both of those things combined has officially became 15 years old. Even though we were originally decided able to do a documentary about the forms of trying to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic TV series, but as you probably already expect, Hasbro's been pretty stingy when it comes to the forms of trying to do our very own documentary series about celebrating things, especially because I do remember that when Mario and Luigi have both already mentioned about that, since in their Let's Play of Mario Kart Double Dash back in 5 years ago, that they did say for the fact that we seriously got screwed over by the forms that copyright issue for our, you know, trying to insert a lot of emphasis on My Little Pony clips onto YouTube, because, you know, sometimes though Hasbro's being pretty stingy when it comes to putting certain clips on that particular show onto YouTube, because back then, the only option we only had to do is by putting them onto Dailymotion, which unfortunately though, we no longer decide able to have Dailymotion account onto that particular website as far as I'm aware, because relatively speaking though, it wasn't nearly as popular compared to the forms of how it does on the YouTube channel, because, well, straight to the point though, is about the fact that, well, honestly, I think YouTube is much more, simple when it comes to more accurately trying to get, your content uploaded or anything else like that, so, yeah, that's as far as I was expecting for the sake of time, so, anyway though, so let's just go ahead and keep on walking up to, potentially speaking of, I need to try to go after the gem first, and then once we're able to actually get the gem, then we should be able to try to find Portrait Kitty to potentially try to able to deal with her for about, I would say twice for the sake of the forms of this floor anyway. I mean, relatively speaking though, it wasn't until later on though that this is not going to be the only time we can able to actually bump into Portrait Kitty, because until later on, well, we're probably not going to mention about this too much, I'm afraid. So because of that, yeah, for the most part though, there's nothing else I can really say. I mean, it's just about the fact that no matter what though, that like we said this before, ever since in around a couple of years back, that the first time we actually did manage to able to get sort of interested when it comes to being a brony, or essentially speaking of, enjoyed, you know, watching My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, was back in 2012, specifically at the very end of 2012, because that's when we did realize, after experiencing the forms of, well, I don't suppose if you noticed, but back when, that was during around that time after Christmas or something like that, that while me and Mario did manage to able to play through Paper Mario Paper Mario Sticker Star for the 3DS for the first time, and then as soon as we're able to go to the point whenever we dive into the worst world in that game, which appears to be World 3, not only because of a bunch of levels to go through, but in addition to that though, worst backtracking in any other Paper Mario game since the original GameCube version of The Thousand Year Door for Chapter 7, because of all that. Well, you get the idea for this point, so anyway, I see how we're supposed to go for this point, so, because that way, this should allow me to able to actually get myself my next gem, so, but anyway, and there's also reassuring about this too, is about the fact that while me and Mario had a mental meltdown, in terms of trying to able to experiencing World 3 in Sticker Star after realizing for the fact that there's a lot of tedium involved. Well, luckily though, when the show pops up, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic did somehow came up, not only for the sake of the forms of on the TV, but in addition to that though, just YouTube channels in general, and we tried that for the first time, and we somehow really liked it. I mean, sure, no matter what though, it's about the fact that we usually just somehow missed out on the majority of Season 2 and Season 3 for the majority of it back then, especially considering how the fact that back in 2012, this is new to us, so, but relatively speaking, that was about the fact that, you know, it has been about, you know, almost 13 years since we've officially became a brony or anything else like that, so, well, it wasn't until specifically until at some point in December 2025 that we can able to expect to become a brony for about 13 years, so, man, time flies, you know? But I digress. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, for bronies only, by the way, because if you're not a brony, then you're most able to actually not missing out. But regardless of such though, yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your thoughts of looking back on the forms of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic since 15 years ago? I mean, relatively speaking though, I was a bit skeptical at first, back in 2011, because it's not my kind of thing, until when the internet pops around with all that particular brony side of things though, plus with the forms of a whole bunch of, you know, community decides to able to go all over the place when it comes to not only ROM hacks, but in addition to the forms of strong emphasis on the forms of SFM, stands for Source Filmmaking. So, yeah, I thought to myself, okay, I'm also give that show a shot back then, especially because considering for the fact that I heard so many good things about it, unlike the forms of how it does on the past generations, and before the controversial for the sake of the forms of Generation 5 in my opinion, because still, I'm just not a big fan of G5 anymore, because it just feels a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit too simplistic in my taste, and not to mention though, the video games themselves are not my kind of thing. I mean, obviously though, I attempt to skip them for the sake of the forms of trying to getting those, because at the end of the day though, it just feels like the fact that Generation 4, it still is the best generation of all time when it comes to My Little Pony, so... But still, I might be biased, especially because of that, thanks to the forms of the original creator, back in, let's just say in Season 1 and Season 2 respectively. So, yeah, you get the idea about the forms of how the fact that, well, anyway. So... Also, I just want to classify for something is about the fact that recently, though, CapKing74, or Stuart, if you will, he recently did finishing up the forms of Donkey Kong Country Returns. So no matter what, though, yeah, I guess that's all there is to it, basically. I was not expecting something about the fact he did manage able to show off the special Cloud World, or World 9, in a singular video, because unlike in our channel, we usually goes by 2 parts in particular, just because some stages are kind of lengthy sometimes, and some of them are, well, pretty stingy when it comes to likely for puzzle pieces locations, I will must admit right away, because remember how the fact that me and Tails almost seems able to not knowing whether certain puzzle pieces were at first glance? I mean, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that, like I said before, it's been about a couple of months ago since we've last played Donkey Kong Country Returns HD for the Switch version specifically. Once we do realize that we already did manage able to 200% in the game, meaning that we did indeed manage to complete the entire game. So, yeah, I got nothing else to add. So, although generally speaking I was about the fact that, well, hopefully though, by that time once I do manage to finish this recording, then obviously that I can able to actually hit back on playing through not only Super Mario Galaxy 2025 edition for Switch 1, but in addition to, of course, Super Mario Galaxy 2 on Switch, so that way I could miraculously try to have some more fun with it, especially because of all that. Well, still, I'm in the actual process where it comes to going through Green Star hunting once again in Galaxy 2, but this time on the Nintendo Switch. So, still, no wonder why for the fact I obviously attempt to ignore the Wii U downloadable version, at least in my opinion, especially because it plays very identically to the original Wii version. I mean, you can't just simply just try to get the physical copy for a cheaper price, and then if you don't have the Wii, and if you still have the Wii U, then that way you're able to actually guarantee to get yourselves the ability to play Super Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii U or any other Wii systems for that matter. So, but yeah, I totally get the idea for the fact that some people complain about the forms of price tags now, especially because of all that, you know, it's getting too pricey these days. So, but anyway, and one of the subjects where it comes to the forms of something Nintendo related, that obviously though, we've only just got about 6 more days to go until Pokemon Legends EA for both Switch 1 and Switch 2 is going to be releasing. So, yeah, I'm sure that Pokemon fans out there is obviously going to be going after the Switch 2 version because, you know, better graphics and better frame rate and all that stuff. But here's the thing though, because I noticed about the fact that some Pokemon fans out there starts to complain about the forms of how easy to catch Pokemon these days when it comes to tossing a Pokeball or anything else like that. I mean, mind you though, I haven't exactly fully played the main Pokemon game for such a long time, since, you know, Pokemon Moon and Ultra Moon for the 3DS, which I sort of used to have it back then, but of course I no longer have those games in particular, just because, you know, I'm not exactly a massive Pokemon trainer player or anything else like that. So, again, still, I'm biased when it comes to the forms of such franchises I obviously attempt to play a lot, so... Anyway, so we meet again with the forms of Culture Kitty, and obviously though we have to do the exactly same thing ever since in Floor 8, so relatively speaking I was about the fact that if we think we are basically done, well, it turns out she got one more big tail left, so as a result we need to go after her for about more floors on that particular, well, to be more specifically, trying to explore into more rooms in that particular points worth noting for, so... I'm pretty sure for the fact that she's definitely not in here, I don't think. So I suppose no matter what though, she's practically gonna be at the the... Oh, wait a second. There she is. Alright, she's definitely going to be going up now. So, yeah, it looks like we now need to make our way to the room that does contain watermelons on them. So, and in that way, we should be able to actually figure something this out when it comes to more specifically. Hopefully, though, we can able to actually try to proceed into the next floor, which should be floor 9. So, in fact, I'm pretty sure enough, though, when it comes to floor 9 coming up, it might actually be pretty short, at least as far as I'm aware of anyway. But we're not going to explain about this too much just yet, because, oh jeez, I totally forgot about this particular ghost. So, of course, we'll bring out Luigi out, and obviously, though, we do need to be able to pull out his tongue for about one time by either with Luigi and Luigi at the same time, and then that way, that should deal with that ghost. So, nicely done. Alright, so now we can able to proceed into this particular familiar watermelon room, and in fact, that giant watermelon actually somehow respawns, so I'm guessing that's the reason why, is because of, well, trying to able to actually access that particular little buff top and all that stuff. I know there's actually a secret in here somewhere, which it could be another gem, but I might as well be back for that later, because for now, we need to try to focusing on the forms that particular, you know, Portrait Kitty when it comes to more specifically trying to deal with her. So, I mean, mind you though, it has been about a couple of hours since I actually have last played this game for sure, just because, well, if you know what I mean, because I've been busy playing through Sonic Racing Cross Worlds lately, and because of that, I can now able to actually finally get a chance to play as, well, not only Steve, but in addition to Alex and Creeper from that particular Minecraft DLC for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So, but anyway, let's just turn on the bathtub on, and to let that particular Portrait Kitty... Oh, jeez. Okay, I was not expecting she's on rage mode instantly, because we already know for a fact that cats hate water, which makes it pretty obvious. So, and also I hate water too, especially because I cannot swim, because I'm the fastest creature in the universe. So, but either way, so I'm pretty sure enough that we have to do this for about one last time. Hopefully we can able to try to... Ah, dang it, I think my timing is a little bit off lately, so we could also just try to able to move Luigi around if you decide able to get closer to her. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it per se. I mean, ah, dang it, did it again. Ah, jeez, practice makes practice when it comes to more specifically to try to deal with the huge emphasis on timing, even when she does like that particular, like she's almost trying to swipe at us. Okay, there we go. And of course, do the usual slamming technique, and there she goes. So I suppose now, it's about time we can now able to actually receive the next number button. In some cases, button number 9, so we can now finally proceed into the next floor. So, yeah, it took them long enough to able to actually get to this point. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure we are done here. But if I ended up missing something, then obviously though, like I said, I'll be back for this room later. So yeah, we definitely need to go all the way down again. So yeah, I just really wish about the fact that there's gonna be like, I don't know if it's just me, but I do really wish about the fact that I can able to instantly try to go back into the lab if I wanted to, but that's not the case. So. Oh well, we just had to go for a long way back down, so although I would have liked able to try to go all the way back up again, and then just try to slide downwards again, but either way. So yeah, I suppose, I don't think there's any booze around here, or anything else like that, at least one of the booze anyway, but that's not going to be until for later, that if we do manage to able to come back into this room, so yeah, anyway, so... And also, kind of thinking about it though, I don't suppose if you noticed, but back in a long time ago actually, when me and Tails and Knuckles did manage to able to actually celebrate the, well, Maxie's birthday back then, that I do remember likely 15 years back, that obviously though for the fact that we somehow managed to get ourselves the PSP for the first time, because obviously though I do remember back then, that we actually still managed to get not only Sonic Rivals, but in addition to Sonic Rivals 2 on a PSP. And then later on though, we somehow indeed managed able to receive, well, the worst version of Super Monkey Ball Adventure, which is on the PSP, and in addition to that, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep as well, because my goodness, that was a really great time, in regards to the forms of trying to able to receive those amazing gifts back then. Well, mind you, some exceptions, like for instance though, we used to have, you know, Wii Party, but of course we no longer have that, and same applies to the forms of Tetris Party Deluxe for the Wii, well, it's mainly because we've already got that on the WiiWare version, so, yeah, that's as far as I was gonna able to expect while looking back on the specific stuff worth noting for, so... And there we go, the number 9 button is now inserted for reals, without any some sort of interruptions, so... Yeah, that's how it goes, hey? So let's just go ahead and proceed into the next floor, which is floor 9, which takes place, I would say, Unnatural History Museum, which as far as I'm aware, is going to be filled to the brim with a lot of pure stroke, skeletons, and you name the rest. Now, as far as for this particular floor is concerned, I'm pretty sure this particular floor only has, like, one room to traverse into, which, let's just go ahead and try to spin this little, desk chair around, and then straight to the point, we got ourselves another treasure chest to open, and the first gem in floor 9. And as you can definitely tell from the actual gem shape, it's almost like a shape like a dinosaur claws. So, get it, because this place is filled to the brim with a lot of exhibits ranging from familiar bones, and in addition to that though, a lot of displays, and etc, etc. So, yeah, it does remind me like a similar vibes as in Night in the Museum film series, which I used to watch those back in the day, but I'm no longer interested with them, mainly because, as far as I'm aware, I'm now into the forms of any other films, such as, of course, the majority of the Disney animated features, and on top of that, some Pixar films, and in addition to that, some DreamWorks films these days, and on top of that, with any other films in general, so... But that's just for my liking. So, anyway, let's just go ahead and try to walk around for a moment, so just in case we, well, there's a little curtain we do need to open up with. Within not only with Luigi, but in addition to Guigi as well. So, yeah, we'll try to figure this out once we, double check on things. So, just in case there are gonna be some other gems we do need able to try to find around here. I mean, relatively speaking, though, floor 9 is not gonna be that long to complete. I mean, as long as about the fact that we can able to actually encounter, well, not only the ghost gem at some point, but also with the forms of, golden goop ghosts as well, hopefully. Well, we shall wait and see. So for the most part, whoa, this certainly looks a bit interesting around here, especially because of all that constant thundering on the actual, the outside portion of this floor. So, and as you can definitely tell, since in the 4th floor, there's another Toad portrait right there. So, I'm guessing if we do manage to able to try to utilize the Dark Light device, I get the feeling for the fact that we might come across into the next boss. So as a result, yeah, like I said before, there's only one level for this particular floor. So because of that though, because again, this particular floor is going to be pretty short. So because of that, let's go ahead and free Toad, but we got interrupted.
Hello?
Okay, so here we go with the next boss in the game, as I said this earlier, because I did somehow predicted that until now. So here we have the forms of a skeleton T-Rex. So to put it simply though, is that you need to able to utilize that particular little golden egg, and then as a result, or a dinosaur egg I should say, and if you're trying to able to trap him with the actual egg, you have to use the other egg to potentially try to attack his weak spot, which appears to be his glowing spot. So it runs to repeat basically, but then you realize that he did manage to able to get rid of the forms of one of those dinosaur eggs. So if you think you can able to do one enough, like right here, well, I get the feeling that one is going to be not enough. So, I get the feeling we do need to able to bring out, let's just say, Luigi out? I mean, mind you though, because of how the fact that sometimes though, that again, like I said before, this is going to be semi-blind, basically. I mean, for the most part though, it's about the fact that as long as you know what you're doing, you should be okay. But it's just that sometimes though, I was not expecting with the forms of certain parts like this. Especially because, considering for the fact that, well, I guess it's only a matter of time we're able to bring out Luigi out. And I need to know for the fact that I get the feeling that we do need to let Luigi get closer to that particular skeleton T-Rex or anything else like that to potentially try to able to stun him for a moment. So, I mean, as long as about the fact that, well, yeah, try not to do that, because otherwise Luigi will die instantly. So, yeah, because no matter what though, if the actual Luigi dies, then obviously though, that signifies as an instant game over, because luckily with Luigi, that it does not count as the forms of good night or game over either, so... But anyway, so... Yeah, again, there's nothing else I can really say about the forms of today's topic at this point in time, folks. I mean, sure enough, though, it's about the fact that... Oh, I see. So, yeah, again, if we somehow got confused at first, then obviously, though, we can able to just let Luigi get swallowed up, and there we go. That's how it should be done. And if we think we are basically done, well, it turns out he's now going to be walking around in the entire museum itself. So because of that, yeah, it's up to us to able to potentially, though, try to utilize with that particular bone part projectiles. And potentially speaking, once these other bones display like this one got destroyed, then it may look like there's going to be some bone parts to able to use them as projectiles. So, but sometimes though, this boss can be felt a bit challenging at times, mainly because of the forms of how the fact that sometimes you need to able to try to able to like, oh jeez, that was very unexpected, because I'm pretty sure enough though Luigi might be useless in this particular part, because even then though, oh jeez, I was not paying attention to that whatsoever, so... But still, regardless of such though, that Luigi can able to still able to regenerate his health, so that's something, so... But I digress. So, but either way, I suppose we'll let both Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny will mention more about the forms of other interesting stuff until tomorrow, because generally speaking, I was about the fact that hopefully by that time until later on today, I should be able to actually get myself my glorious, Xbox Microsoft gift card to potentially try to get myself the, well, Season Pass DLC for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds on the Xbox system coming up. So, usually I'm referring to as Xbox One or Xbox Series X/S, but I'm still trying to able to actually play for the game on the Xbox One version at some point. So, oh, and by the way, if you manage to let Luigi manage to get squished or get flattened by that skeleton T-Rex, his feet were able to get sticky. So as a result, just trying to able to, well, trying to make him stop onto its one place or anything else like that. So, yeah, chances are though is about the fact that sometimes you need to pay attention to the forms of the hitbox in this fight sometimes, because sometimes though, it can either hit him, or other times not, on certain situations. So either way, and there goes the skeleton T-Rex, but if we think we've done here, well, it's not over yet. Well then, it looks like we got ourselves a caveman ghost, although to be more specifically, his name is Yug, which, as a result, I honestly have no idea it just somehow says Yug. So, usually it spells in like U-G, and that's about it basically. So, in order able to deal with this fight, I should say, sorry for a little bit of a tongue twist in the end, folks, which I do apologize for that. So, basically, this fight right here is about the fact you always have to make sure that once you do manage to able to actually perform a shockwave, basically though, that's where burst ability comes into play, likely to try to jump over for that particular shockwave. So, although sometimes if you get closer to its little bone stick thing, well, you potentially gonna get hit. So anyway, time your jumps correctly until when he decides they're able to get stuck, and as a result, you can just simply try to able to suck him up, like so. But yeah, you get the idea for that point. So anyway, and I suppose, generally speaking though, actually, it's about the fact that I've also did manage to able to found out that, unfortunately though, still no luck when it comes to the forms of any other presentations coming up, in between both, not only the Super Mario Galaxy Movie Direct, but in addition to the Kirby Air Riders Direct, because even then though, I'm still really hoping that we can able to actually hear more about those two things in particular. I mean, time will definitely tell though, especially considering about the fact that we're still on the forms of on the 10th of October, of course, but hopefully by that time until when next week comes along, assuming of course about the fact that, like I said before, Pokemon Legends EA is not going to be that far off when it comes to releasing that. So anyway, let's go ahead and try and able to finish him off, Yuke. So either way, and I'm pretty sure enough though, he's down for good. So either way, and I suppose we can now able to not only try to rescue another Toad, but in addition to that, we can also able to actually claim ourselves, specifically, the next elevator button if possible. I mean, either way though, I suppose no matter what though, we need to free Toad out first. So, but at the very least though, we got ourselves some health back, so that's something. So despite the fact that I almost seems to have some bit of struggles with the fight at first, but it wasn't until later on though, that we might come across into the most annoying boss in the game, which we're not going to get into more further details about this right about now, until specifically maybe next Monday, if possible, so we shall wait and see.
It's me, Luigi. Okay, okay. Oh, I can dig it.
So yeah, we somehow rescued not only Blue Toad, but in addition to that though, we also did manage to able to receive B2, which stands for Basement 2 button. So I guess we can't go upwards for the time being, so it may look like for the fact I guess button number 10 can wait for later. So, and essentially speaking though, it's about the fact that since we did somehow rescued Blue Toad, I suppose we can now able to actually do all sorts of things. Like for instance though, let's go ahead and smash up those little exhibits right there to potentially trying to grab some more, you know, coins or gold for that matter, and also there's going to be a possibility we can able to actually get even more gems while trying to able to actually use Blue Toad as a projectile to smash that particular exhibit. I mean, I'm sure enough though, Fifi Lithium wouldn't mind able to actually let Blue Toad get harmed, because I already know for a fact that at one point that she's almost getting worried about Blue Toad getting hurt, but regardless of such though, it's just the actual video game of course, so, but I digress. Oh yeah, something's worth noting for is that Yuke does have whopping 400 HP by the way, so yeah, I just want to classify that when it comes to the forms of the amount of HP he's got, so yeah, that's something this usually might be able to consider this the actual main factor, so. Again, I do apologize for my commentary, I guess nothing right to hum about, because let's face it though, we've already mentioned about quite a number of things here and there, but it wasn't until specifically until next week, or even potentially speaking of until tomorrow, while, you know, like I said, both Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny will hopefully try to wrap things up everything in terms of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners tomorrow, and sure enough though, we can able to actually get into some more exciting stuff in the near future, so. But I digress. Oh, there's the actual gem ghost right there. So, of course, just like in the forms of how it does in Luigi's Mansion 2, or Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, if the actual ghost was actually on site while you're able to try to escorting Toad, Toads will once again try to able to actually run around all over the place. So, yeah, very similar to the second game, basically. So, anyway, so, yeah, let's just get ourselves our glorious next gem. So, yeah, nice and easy. Although, then again, if I do end up missing one of those gems, then I'm sure enough I'll be back for it at some point, so don't you worry. So, And yeah, fundamentally speaking now, we're now on to the halfway point of this particular game so far. To be more specifically in story mode, so chances are though, yeah, I'm generally surprised that we actually gone through this very smoothly, despite there are some struggles at first glance when it comes to boss fights and all that stuff. But I will still say is about the fact that, well, it still is going to be a semi-blind. So because of that though, don't expect things too much if I was going to be a massive professionalism when it comes to the forms of this particular installment, unlike the first game to me though, because in the first game, I know exactly what to do inside out, whilst compared to the second game and the third game, it's hard for me to able to try to get used to it, the forms of several of mechanics sometimes, but regardless of such though, everything else goes all like, well, fine and dandy when it comes to my experience anyway. So anyway, let's go ahead and put Blue Toad on the elevator lift, and that'll be about it.
Oh, phew.
Gee, talk about the forms of how Helen Gravely has gone even much more madder, especially that we saw from earlier for the fact that it looks like that Poacher Kitty is actually going to be with Helen Gravely. So because of this though, yeah, as I said, we're now on to the halfway point. So generally speaking out, the next floor we're going to be hopping to is basement 2. So it seems that we're going all the way down into the bottom floor if possible. So because like I said before, I don't think there's anything else we can do to potentially try to continue upwards from now on. So for the time being though, let's go ahead and insert button number, or should I say button B2 to be inserted. So, and that pretty much does it for the, well, the halfway mark for the actual elevator button. So as you can tell, we've somehow got 6 buttons to go until we reach to the very top of the hotel. So yeah, we're getting some pretty good progress there, like I said before. So from now on, let's head back into the previous floors to hunt down for some more booze, and on top of that, try to find some more gems as well. So because of that, well, I'm sure this particular part won't take that very long, especially because, like I said before, we need to pay attention to the forms of the Luigi's little container thing decides to respawn to the fact that if Boo is actually nearby, so I digress. But again, if I struggle to try to get that particular golden goop ghost from that particular room on the right over there, then obviously though that I can obviously try to go back for it at some point. So for now, let's head in here to obviously try to get the next Boo. So yeah, let's just check in that little box container, and sure enough, we somehow got him on the first try too. And his Boo's name is Boo Juicer, so because it's almost like producer, so yeah, you get the idea for that particular pawn for the Boo's names. So of course, this particular spot is actually very easy when it comes to more accurately trying to get a Boo with, because even then, well, I'm not entirely sure if those camels will function well enough. I mean, I was able to check on that in a second, so yeah, we somehow got ourselves the next Boo. So top notch for that particular Boo hunting skills. So despite the fact that early on though, I seemed to struggle at first because of all that, well, didn't pay attention to the forms of the HD rumble, and you get the idea for that point. So actually, I couldn't be bothered able to actually check the cameras anyway, because I'm pretty sure enough though that these cameras are, I would say, damaged. So if I could assure for that, although I may be wrong, but then again, I apologize for that commentary. It's not going to be not much right to home about for today. But you know, I've already explained about the forms of the massive thing that's been happened recently today, for the sake of bronies or anything else like that. So, and also I do remember back then as well, in 2010, that we somehow managed to get ourselves the Xbox 360 version of Toy Story 3, the video game, mind you, because what I can gather that the Xbox 360 version is more superior to me though, in regards to the forms of experiencing Toy Story 3 back in 2010 as a video game, and then later on though, we somehow managed able to still got the PlayStation 3 version because of playable Zurg as a playable character in Toy Box mode, and we somehow managed to got that version for quite cheap, since 2019, and it still functions well enough, especially it's almost like a very similar game as in the Xbox 360 version, although except it's on Blu-ray disc rather than DVD disc or anything else like that when it comes to types of discs, to be more specifically, but either way. And also, as far as I'm aware, I've also remembered back then, in 15 years back, that we did somehow manage to able to get ourselves yet another copy of Super Mario 64 DS, because I do remember when Piglet told me about this, that we've lost our original copy of Super Mario 64 DS because, well, it's a long story, because obviously though, with all this little moving situation, so yeah, it seems kind of sucks back then, but thankfully though, we still managed to get ourselves the genuine copy of Super Mario 64 DS, despite it's actually basically it's like a re-release in 2010 because of the new PEGI number system with the actual age rating board in the UK version. So yeah, you guys should probably already know what I'm talking about when it comes to the forms of the age rating system when it comes to video games you must play during that specific age. So but anyway, let's just go ahead and try to walk around in floor 9, so just in case, before we try to find the next boo, I just want to make sure if I need to try to find one of those gems in particular. So, but of course, that if I could have able to actually still have Blue Toad with me, I would get guaranteed to make things possible to able to actually get every single gems in one run too. But unfortunately though, I have no idea where the other gems are, so anyways, as you can see, that we actually got ourselves so many of those caverns. So, let's go ahead and put this one up, and sure enough, we come across into one already, within the first try too. So, it seems like I'm getting the hang of this though now. So, yeah, this boo's name was Boons. Get it? Because, you know, it's almost trying to represent the forms of dinosaur bones, or anything else like that. So, yeah, I guess that makes it pretty obvious what that particular boo's name puns or anything else like that. So of course, as far as I'm aware, that we've also on to the halfway point when it comes to capturing boos. So yeah, looking good so far. In terms of the forms of trying to go for a 100% completion run. Although then again though, I wouldn't guarantee to able to get every single achievement in this Let's Play anyway, because some of them are actually very tricky to do. So there we go. So we somehow capture another boo, and let's go ahead and try to able to bring this thing over to another one of those exhibit glass displays or anything else like that, so that we can able to try to get ourselves the well, the next gem if it's anything possible. So oh yeah, I suppose there's also another thing else I want to point out too, is that yes indeed, I managed able to win back on playing through Sonic Dash on my spare own time, and recently though, I finally managed able to unlock the next cosmetic character for myself, or Sonic the Hedgehog if you will, and that's what it appears to be, Dragon Hunter Sonic. So because of that, after I've unlocked him, I'm also able to decide to take a break on playing through Sonic Dash for a while, until when the next unlockable character will bring up for the upcoming event. So, and on the subject for that matter though, is that until next Wednesday, we're about to be going back into the yet another rerun for the likes of the forms of a Halloween Tour event for Mario Kart Tour, and hopefully though, I can able to actually guarantee to able to get myself Witch Peach costume for the sake of the forms to try to get the better item, which is of course the Fire Flower to me though, because I was originally trying to able to actually re-get you know, Rosalina Halloween costume variant, but I've realized that dash rings might be felt a bit hit and miss sometimes, because on the other hand, it actually helps you out, whilst other times, it gives us a huge disadvantage when it comes to winning races and all that stuff, specifically if you try to let those computer players decide to catch up, so, if you get the idea. So, anyway, so let's head back into the 7th floor. So I will promise you guys I'll try to go after not only the final gem, but in addition to that, trying to get the next boo in the process. So this means more climbing to deal with. So, but yeah, I guess there's nothing else I can really say about the forms of today's topic at this point, guys. I mean, sure enough though, I will try able to actually get myself my separate USB mouse accessory at some point later on. I mean, not now though, because at the end of the day though, it seems to be more specifically something is about to happen until tomorrow. In regards to the forms of Maxie's parts, because even then though, again, we're probably not going to mention more further details on that just yet, until tomorrow that is. So, I mean still, then again though, with our recent post that we did somehow post it onto, on our community post, then features, you know, Fifi the Fume, it still increases when it comes to likes, display, which, still, I'm generally surprised about that. I mean, God knows if we're able to actually do another post like that, but in a different character. I mean, I was originally trying to able to actually put up the actual community post, all about it's been 15 years since when Rarity was firstly introduced in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but unfortunately though, I haven't got around to it, because even then though, I've noticed straight off the bat, for the fact that we haven't got anything new in terms of My Little Pony stuff for a very long while, since, like, you know, since last year in 2024, thanks to the forms of that particular unexpected cliffhanger episode, where it comes to more specifically with MLP Telltale on Generation 5, that usually the final episode involves around the bounty of water slides and nothing else more, because there are some leaked episodes out there, but as in storyboard details and all that stuff, I mean, mind you though, it has been about a year ago since we've last looked back on the forms of the Telltale series, which at this point, like I said before, but I might as well say this again, but I am so done with the forms of Generation 5 at this point, as well as Hasbro, because the actual negative response during the forms of the Generation 5 series between both Mickey Mark and Telltale series to somehow ultimately cancel the rest of the planned series, so the villain must be still out there is the final ending Get Screwed Up Maritime Bay. It's a shame too, because it did have some high expectations, but ultimately though, it just doesn't seem to go according to plan. Especially it's bad enough about the fact that the majority of G5, that it does not have that much merchandise, and not to mention though, it did came out during the involvement in pandemic times, so yeah, no wonder why for the fact that the actual movie, and new generation movie, has been stuck onto the forms of Netflix for such a long time, since 2021. So no matter what though, I can expect it for the fact that at the end of the day, that G4 still is the top tier for me, which unlike G5, really disappoints me. I mean, in the beginning it's not so bad, but in the later on, it all goes downhill from there, so. But still, I'm biased, I suppose, when it comes to preferring generation to generation these days, so it knows where it stands. And also, as far as I'm aware, we got yet another achievement by simply trying to able to straw bulb every single lit flowers in this particular floor, so that's something. And also, as far as I've noticed, that we somehow reached 30,000 gold, so yeah, looking good so far in terms of our money amounts, as far as this is worth considering about, especially because we still need to build up our gold amounts before we're able to try to reach ourselves the best results at the end of the game, because like I said, I refuse to able to actually buy a multitude of those gold bones, and in addition to gem finder and the boo finder cartridges, because they're all pretty useless to me. So there we go, we got all the gems in floor 7, so how about that? So, I know there was actually a golden goop ghost around here somewhere, but I couldn't really think about it on top of my head. I mean, mind you though, that like I said before, it has been about a couple of hours since I've last played this for sure, because you know, I've been busy playing through Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and yeah, hopefully the next DLC is gonna be pretty exciting, especially it could be either be releasing until November or December, which we shall wait and see what happens, especially that, well, I could imagine if this is going to be on December when it comes to DLC number 2 for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds that features SpongeBob and Patrick Star, that I can imagine about the fact that it's going to be on either November or December, because usually in December though, we might able to expect to see the Game Awards coming up soon, which as far as I'm aware, we've only just got about 2 months away until the Game Awards is about to be coming up. Especially, my predictions for the Game Awards for this year, I suppose they're able to actually try to show us some more footage of the Super Mario Galaxy movie coming up, which if that's the case, then I'll be so excited for that. So, and alongside with the forms of some other surprises as well, which, either way, we shall wait and see what happens in the near future. So for now, let's head our way downwards into Basement 2, into Boilworks. So, yeah, I'm a little bit mixed about the forms of Boilworks as the actual floor itself. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting to be able to go all the way down to the bottom, but on the other hand, this is the part of the actual level that we might come across into the most annoying boss in the game, which that'll be a discussion for a later time, as far as I'm aware of anyway. So, yeah, I guess with all that being said, folks, is that we should probably end things up at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 3, is that we're about to be exploring into Basement 2, which takes place in Boilworks. So, and hopefully we can find some more gems along the way, and we can get ourselves the next elevator button, which is elevator button number 10. So I'll see you guys until our next Monday. Later, fellas.